Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 16th of August 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Friday's afternoon session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, also just a quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our videos, and of course our JFD research page on our jfdbank.com website. So yep, feel free to check us out here as well. I mean, I believe you can find something useful here, so yep. Always visit us every morning. We produce our daily morning analysis, so, and we of course throw out some technicals during the day, so keep your eyes on that one. But now let's jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on here is the Nasdaq 100. Now I looked at this one recently, and to be more specific, yesterday in my Traders Tea Time. And basically what I was saying that if we need to be very careful around here, because we're still trading within this rising wedge formation, potential rising wedge formation, or if you want, just we can say that we are trading still above this upside support line. So which yesterday had a fantastic touch here, perfect hit, and it got held here. And to be honest, yesterday the Nasdaq closed virtually unchanged, and just, if I'm not mistaken, fractionally in the red. So in a way, like I said, for now, as long as it can still trading within this formation, which is still trading above this upside support line, we will remain somewhat somewhat positive. The only thing is that ideally we would like to see a push back above the 7,600 level. I talked about this level a lot this week when I was covering Nasdaq, and basically this way, if we see a push back above the 7,600 level, this would also place the index above its 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart, and in a way we could target the this week's highs near the 7,770 zone. But as you can see by the arrow that I've drawn here, in a way this is the level where we are going to get slightly more comfortable with higher levels. If we see a push above the 7,725 zone, 25-30 zone, approximately around there, then we will get more comfortable with higher levels, and then we could initially aim for that 7,770. But if that gets a break, then it could open the path towards the 7,940 zone, which is the high of the first, or sorry, the intraday swing high of the 1st of August. So again, keep your eyes on this one. Also keep your eyes on the lower levels here, but we will examine the downside. Well, not only when we see a drop below this this upside line, this lower side of the potential wedge formation, but also when we see a drop below the 7,356, 55, something like that, near the lows, near the current lows of August. And if this gets a break here, then this would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could aim for further declines, and we could then target areas last seen in the beginning of June here. So for now, be very careful. Looking at the cash index right now, where it is trading at right now, and let me just quickly have a look at that. And the rate is, the price is currently around 7,550 zone. So we will see a nice opening gap here to the upside, most likely. So keep your eyes on this, and again, like I said, be very careful here. If this makes a nice good push higher, yes, it could be good news for the bulls, but like I said, we will start looking at some higher levels if we see a push above the 7,600 level. Until then, this is going to be somewhat of a neutral territory for us, and just we're going to continue observing the price action. Jumping into a few pairs now, I want to start from a few interesting ones here, the emerging market pairs. So looking at the euro ruble here, this is something quite interesting from the technical side. And basically, after having a nice push higher here in the end of July, in the beginning of August, it accelerated and pushed higher, and now it started ranging. Now if we look at the daily chart on this one, now this is where it probably could become a little bit more interesting, because on the daily chart we can see that we're most likely forming somewhat of a flag here. So in a way, we're having a nice pole here, and now this sideways activity, this little range here for now, yep, it could be that flag. So as we know, according to textbooks, these tend to break to the upside, or should I say, these tend to break in the direction of the prevailing trend, in this case the upside. So but before we could get comfortable with higher levels, ideally we would like to see and wait for push above the 70, well, let's round it up towards the 74 zone. So if we get a nice push, and if we get a nice daily close above this 74 zone, this in a way increases the chances for this pair to travel further north. Initially we'll target the 75 area, or then we could aim for the 75.70, 71, something like that, 71, marked by the high of the 14th of February. So that's why for now be very careful. If in case this suddenly drops back down and drops below the 72.42 zone, then yep, we will aim for slightly lower levels. We're not going to drag this one too much to the downside. Initially we will only target the 71.24 here, and then we'll take it from there, see what he wants to do. If it wants to travel lower, then yep, we will consider slightly lower areas. But if it stalls around here, this could in a way be a nice good entry point here for the bulls. Again, we could see the pair reversing back to the upside, and if it does, then this confirms a higher low, and yep, in the near term we could travel further up here again. So that's why, guys, from the very short term perspective, keep your eyes on these two levels. On the upside, the 74 level, we need a nice daily close above this, and on the downside, the 72.42, that's what we're looking for from the short term perspective in order to consider slightly lower areas. Another interesting exotic pair, USD-ZAR here, so US dollar against the South African rand. And let me just jump back into a 4-hour chart here. So basically what I wanted to show you quickly here is also a similar situation here. After a nice rally to the upside, and starting from the end of July, this now started ranging. But on the other hand as well, what we're looking here at will be not only a range, but we'll be very carefully monitoring this level right here near the 1507.33, something like that, approximately around there. This basically could be a nice neckline if, let's say, this now travels lower and breaks the 1507.33. This could in a way confirm a double top formation here, and we could see this one maybe sliding a little bit lower, at least towards the 1481, something like that zone here, and then we'll take it from there. Because like I said, for now, if this travels a little bit more to the downside, if this 1507.33 zone fails to withhold, a nice good break of this one could in a way open the path towards slightly lower areas, and we could have a nice double top formation. So if we have a measured target here, so it could be approximately around here near this 14.8159, or even the last area here for us to target would be around the 14.75. So good potential areas, good potential targets here. But again, like I said, for now, focus mainly on the on this range formation, because like I said, for now it is in the range. Like I said, the double top formation, we will consider that if we see a earlier move lower here and a break lower here. So but if it, let's say if it travels a little bit more here, if it ranges a little for quite a while, then we'll just consider that as a nice range. And then, like I said, still the same levels will apply, and we'll wait for those breaks through one of the areas here, one of the highlighted areas. In terms of other pairs, more traded, more popular ones, like for example GBPNZD, I've talked about this one yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, in my morning video. yes, in my Traders Espresso, I talked about GBPNZD, and this is the level that I was talking about. But basically, for us, yes, I mean, it rebounded nicely from this upside support line, but what I was saying, that we need to see a clear break above this 1.8875 zone before kind of examining further upside. Now you can see that we did have a nice push today. It did break it nicely. Then we had some retracement back to this level perfectly, and basically now where we're targeting here is this area right here near the 1.9027 zone. So and that level was a nice good area of resistance here back on 27th of June. But to be honest, if you want to capture this little swing, this little high, the intraday swing high, and that was around the 1.9020. So maybe even actually a much better and more attractive number here, closer of course as well. So that's why you could initially target that one, the 1.9020. That's going to be quite interesting to see if it actually hits that. And then after that, slightly above that, we do have the high of the 7th of August near the 1.9062. So keep your eyes on this one. Again, like I said, if for now it is looking more positive than negative. Let's say in the scenario, if this decides to reverse back down and drops back below the 1.8875, again it may travel back down to test this upside support line. The only thing is that still for us, in terms of the downside, this level becomes the more important one, the 1.8705, something like that, because if this travels lower, starts breaking this upside support line, still there is another upside support line that could in a way play out nicely. So it's a bit of a tentative one. Well, to be honest, this one was also initially a tentative one, but look what happened. It did have a few tests here, so we could consider this as a next potential upside line here. But if that fails to withhold, then yep, like I said, this is where this level here, the 1.8705, could come into play. If we get a nice drop below this, this could turn out to be ugly in the short run for the GBPNZD bulls, as the bears could take control here and drive this one back down. So that's why, in terms of the downside, from the more of a near-term perspective, you could keep an eye on this level right here. Any move lower here could be seen as a temporary correction before another leg of buying, but that's only, like I said, in the scenario if we see a drop back below the 1.8875. For now, it's sitting above it. There is more chance for this one to move higher, so let's see how this is going to play out. Maybe even today we could see a test of the R2, which is around the 1.8975, so keep your eyes on that one. GBPUSD, very quickly on this one, I talked about this one in this morning as well, and also talked about this one in our analysis here that we produced this morning. So basically what we're looking here is, of course, we had a nice push higher. This is what I was saying, we could see a further move higher. The only thing is that if it gets held here near this 100 EMA today, then we could maybe see a reversal back to the downside, because like I said, yes, we did have some good retail sales from UK. We did have a nice push today. It kind of continued rising, but again, overall the Brexit issues have not disappeared, and they're still here, and we're now going to be going into September when the British Parliament comes back. So prepare for a bit of a few maybe swings, and maybe big swings. So for now, the pair is kind of being very careful, or should I say the GBP bulls are being very careful. Yes, they've managed to push the pair a little bit higher here, but I mean, all this could be seen as just a temporary correction before another leg of selling. So that's why, guys, be very careful with this one. If if this decides to push a little bit higher and breaks above the 1.2210, then we will aim for slightly higher levels, but only up until this downside resistance line, because let's not forget, we're still in the downtrend. We're still trading below this downside resistance line taken from the high of May this year. So for now, any kind of push higher up until this line could be seen as a correction. So that's why, guys, be very careful. Like I said, for now, our main scenario here for now is, of course, if this 100 EMA here on the 4-hour chart continues to hold, then we will aim for the downside again. In terms of the upside, from the short-term perspective, the 1.2210, that's what we're going to be looking for in order to consider a move, a move slightly higher. Not much, of course, maybe up until the 1.23 zone. But again, like I said, we need to see that push above the 1.2210 before examining slightly higher levels. Euro GBP, oh sorry, Euro GBP, Euro USD. I'll get into Euro GBP. This is a slightly opposite picture here today. So the euro continues to get hammered, and this is what when I talked about this pair in the beginning of this week, I was saying that we needed to see this drop below this 1.1163. We got our drop because this drop could in a way lead towards a test of the 1.11 zone. We got our test, we got our 111, and yesterday when I talked about the euro dollar, what I also mentioned is that we were rebounding basically from here, from this 1.1090 zone. It reached that area yesterday, then rebounded. But what I was saying, that in order to consider further declines, we would like to see a clear drop below the 1.1090, and we got that this today. So the next target for us was around here near the 1.1068. We had a perfect test of that. You can see that this is where the pair is currently getting held at. Now, if it continues to slide lower, in a way, it could move all the way towards the lows of the 1st of August, near the 1.1025, 2024 zone. But to be honest, if that fails to withhold, then yep, I mean, we're looking at a possible test of the psychological 110 zone. So that's why, guys, for now, be very careful. Don't get me wrong, at some point here we may see a small correction, maybe even actually from this level right here, the 1.1068. So keep your eyes on this one. If we do get a correction, then we could see something like this, the pair curving back up here a little bit, where you could try to maybe draw a tentative downside resistance line from this level right here, and to capture kind of all these highs. So in a way, this could be your gauge of where the pair could retrace to. If this gets broken, then we could see maybe a bit of a move higher. The only thing is that still this could have a lot of negative pressure on it. That's why in order to, let's say, to consider slightly higher levels, ideally we will wait for a push above the 1.1163 and only then kind of target the upside. So for now, like I said, it is looking bad for euro dollar. And like I said, yeah, it's for now, we're waiting for that moment where it could potentially retrace back up here again, so that we kind of to consider another leg of selling. So for now, like I said, it seems that this level could play out nicely, unless it starts selling off heavily later on during the US session. And if so, then we could see this test of the 1.1025 zone earlier today. So keep your eyes on that one. And the last pair, of course, naturally leading into, after I spoke about these two, the euro dollar and the GBP USD. So now it's the euro GBP. So this is quite interesting. As you can see, the pair sold off nicely. So this is what I was talking about yesterday, and basically I was saying that this may correct a little bit higher here, but it's still, for us, the downside remains the main direction. It traveled lower, it tested our other key important level, and this is what I talked about yesterday as well. It tested not only the 200 EMA, but it also tested this one right here, the low of the 31st of July near the 0.9087 level, and 87.88, and you can see that it rebounded nicely back up above it. It's now trading back above the S2. Looking at this picture here, of course, don't get me wrong, we could see another correction here, another move higher. The only thing is that we're gonna drag this level a little bit, and this is what we're going to target initially. This is where we're going to aim for, the 0.9153 area, approximately around there. This is where the pair could retrace potentially, if this 200 EMA continues to hold, the 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart, of course. If this 200 EMA continues to hold together with the 0.9088, then we could see a nice rebound here, push back, and this is where we will be very careful near the 0.9150, 1.53 area. If it acts as a nice area of resistance this time, now we could see this one curving up and pushing back down again. So the more important thing and the most interesting fact about the Euro GBP for today and for this week to watch, for this ending week, of course, is the fact that most likely this is going to turn now, and this is going to remain in the negative zone here for the week. So this is going to be the first week after 14 weeks of straight gains. This is going to be the first week that we'll see the pair closing in the red, so for the week. So unless something drastically happens by the end of today, but I really doubt that. But again, like I said, this is quite interesting. So next week, in a way, there is a good chance we could see a further declines, maybe going all the way back towards this psychological 0.90 level. But again, let's not over speculate too much on this. For now, from the short-term perspective, looking at the 4-hour chart, let's see if it rebounds from here. If it does, then will it actually travel, or should I say, will it actually hold below the 0.9150? If it does, then we could see another leg of selling. But if it doesn't, then if it travels above this level right here, let me just quickly put this one on the chart. If it travels above the 0.9196 again, then we will consider maybe slightly higher levels here. Initially aim for the 0.9250 level, this important level that I talked about this week. If that fails to withhold, then we could see a nice rise back to the 0.93 level. But again, there's a lot of obstacles for this one right now to overcome in order to, let's say, move back to the upside. So initially, the first one to watch is going to be the 0.9150. Let's see how that's going to play out. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching until the end. I do apologize for running this one a little bit over my time, but I just wanted to quickly share that with you, and I hope you found it useful. I hope you have a fantastic trading evening. For those who are still just starting to trade, I hope you have a fantastic trading day. But for those who are finished, and actually for everybody else, have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you on Monday on my Traders Espresso, as always, 6 o'clock GMT. For now, bye-bye.